to the Jackson Cloud. Today we are playing Talking Points on Jackbox 7.
You will be the first speaker, and you will be their assistant.
Uh-oh.
What exactly are you going to be doing? Excellent question. As the speaker, you will be presented with a series of slides chosen by the assistant. When you see a text slide, read that text out loud as part of your talk, and move on quickly. It'll be over before you know it. Assistant, go ahead and start picking that first picture. And speaker, don't forget, you're in charge of advancing the slides. So when you're ready, hit the button and the speech will begin.
Hello, my name is Plant Queen, and my talk is living life by letting go of all of your friends. Sometimes you gotta keep a clear eye and watch people closely, because they might not be as good of friends as you think they are. Dare to embrace this truth. A good friend will rub your feet, but a bad friend will tell you that your feet smell. This next part of my speech will change your life forever. Have you ever had macaroons brought to you by a dog with a friend by your side? Because if you did, I bet you had to share those macaroons with your friend. If you didn't have a friend around, those macaroons would have all been yours. Thank you.
Your score comes from
You had me at macaroons.
It doesn't matter. And the other half comes from the value judgments on the graph. You know how a graph works. Put it together, and that's your score. Of course, some points for the assistant. Before this speech fades from memory, it's time to fill out the comment.
Sorry, I know, I was trying to throw you off, but it was great.
Write something funny. Don't overthink.
Rate how well they assisted.
Let's do it again.
Alright, now me and Olivia are ready to do this. Hello, my name is Jamin, and my talk is, this is what happened after I screamed, I'm a real manager at my boss. As you can imagine, there's a lot of anger and turmoil inside of many of us, and though we put on a happy face, sometimes there are some pretty bad thoughts in our head. But here are a few things that I could have said instead of embracing those angry thoughts. Well, Jean Valjean, let me tell you a little story. Sometimes you just need to... and not speak at all, you know what I mean. As you will see right here around the face, there is this muteness to this man that really brings him to life. This has all had a major effect on my career, this miming and all that, let me tell you. I used to have socks. Now I don't. It's because my boss stole them from me. And that just causes you sometimes to have to say, the socks aren't really the most important thing around. Look at them. Are they? Are they? Thank you very much for listening to my talk.
Time to check the graph.
Looks like my engagement was a little high at the end there. What is that?
Casey, what did you do? Just hit the button as many times as you could?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's your speech now.
Alright. Alright. Hello. My name is Jackson Cloud Casey, and my talk is... Scream it with me. Ice cream! So, a lot of times, when you're making ice cream, you need a lot of tools to be able to assist you on making ice cream. Specifically there, as well as there, and that one's good. And having 6 arms is very helpful as well. So that'll be very helpful when you're trying to make said ice cream. Although I'm not too proud to admit, the next thing I did was wrong. And it was so wrong that I tried to do M&Ms while dyeing my hair blue, all while making ice cream. Because here's the thing, when you try to eat M&Ms while dyeing your hair while eating ice cream, the chocolate and the dye gets in your mouth, and that's why it's wrong. Because right here, it's tasty, but wrong. So, don't just sit there. Make sure that you do this next thing, which is falling through a ceiling. Because you know what? When you do hard work and you fall through the ceiling, especially, right here, I actually have fallen through a ceiling before, just like this picture. And it was, what the best thing to do to recover from such a thing as that? It's definitely ice cream. So definitely make sure that you scream and ice cream with ice cream. Thank you.
Bring it back around. Oh. Look, it's my messages.
Each of you has one last big award to give out, and that includes the audience.
What?
Woo! All right, today we're going to talk.
Let's try that again.
I'm not even going to redo that. I will continue. Today.
Today, we're going to talk about the cups of Passover.
The cups of Passover, or otherwise known in Christian thinking, we would call Passover
Easter.
Well, okay, yeah, Easter, communion.
Oh yeah, that too.
So in ancient times, Passover was when you would celebrate. You would celebrate the fact that. Anybody want to tell a story?
Sure.
Go for it.
So it celebrate the fact that Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, and they had to paint with blood on their doorframe to have the spirit of death pass over them.
The spirit of death.
I mean, what else do you want me to call it?
Was it the angel of the Lord or the angel of death?
Spirit of
I want to
death.
say it was the angel of death.
Anyway, to have death pass over you and spare your family. Nice and great for right before Halloween.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you know.
But yeah, because they sacrificed the lamb and painted with the blood, it passed over those door frames that had the blood, and it destroyed the firstborn of those that did not have the blood of the lamb on their doorframe.
And we often think of that as like this old thing that happened, and that's Jewish culture. But that's what communion is, right? That's what Easter is. On Easter, we have John is especially painting this picture of like timing and all this. Like we're getting ready to have Passover traditions.
So Easter, chocolate, bunnies.
That's what we think
The
of.
bunny. The bunny.
Oh boy. Here we
Ooh,
go.
I love the bunny. The bunny. The bunny. Ooh, I love the bunny.
You guys good?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
I
did.
don't know any more of that song.
Well, yeah, so Moses all of Israel will paint the blood of a sacrificed lamb on their door, and therefore they're spared from death. And they celebrate this. The Jews celebrate this. It's like one of their biggest holidays because it's a reminder of we used to be slaves, but God freed us, and he did it on the night of Passover. And so they celebrate that every year, remembering what God did for them every single year, to the point that when Jesus is about to be hung on a cross, it's right about the time that they're getting ready to have Passover. They had traditions. And so when Jesus does the very first communion meal, we need to remember that this was a Passover meal. And then we need to look at the time frame in which Jesus is having this Passover meal to figure out what were the traditions that the Jews would have at that time. And we find out that there was Jewish tradition behind this Passover meal. And once we start putting that over communion, we see even more so what Jesus was trying to communicate with communion. So if Jesus came into your Christmas scene and saw the stockings hung up, and then he picked up a stocking and said, "This is a reminder of the gifts that I'm giving you for salvation." Like, he would take what you already knew in your tradition and then turn it, right? And now whenever you look at that stocking for now on, you'd remember this was Jesus' gift to me. That's what he's doing with bread.
So you eat the stocking?
No. You're following my rabbit trail in the wrong direction here. That's what he does with the Passover meal. They already expect that there will be bread on the table. They already expect that there will be a cup of wine on the table. And when he takes it and shows them, like, I am the new Passover. Before, you took a lamb and then you brushed its blood on your door and it saved you when the time for death came. So I now, this lamb on the table that we've been eating, I now am that blood. I am that lamb. You're taking my blood, wiping it over the door of your heart, so that when the end comes and everything is done away with, you're saved, because my blood is on your life. It's still the same story as Passover, but it's now being called communion, as a reminder of Jesus taking things we already know and shifting them for us to see them in a new way. He is the new Passover lamb. He is the new blood on our life. And he is this new manna that we've talked about before, this new bread of life, this epiousios bread from one of our past episodes. He's a supernatural bread from above. To save us. That joke only works so many times.
Yet you're still laughing.
So typically in a Passover meal, when we look at Jewish tradition around the time that Jesus was on the earth, we realize that just like you would have stockings or turkey at Thanksgiving, stockings at Christmas, turkey at Thanksgiving, one of the traditions they had was 4 cups of wine throughout their meal. And each cup represented something to remind them of what God had done for them. Now, the 3rd cup was associated with the promise of God's redemption. So it kind of would make sense that Jesus, like, when he takes up this 3rd cup, that's what he's saying, like, this is my blood. He's saying this cup used to represent, God's redemption in one light. I'm here to tell you my blood is now your redemption on your life, and this cup represents my blood for you. Now, the other reason that we would think that this might be the 3rd cup is because it doesn't seem like Jesus ever drank the 4th cup, which was the final cup of the night.
What was that cup supposed to represent?
Well, regardless of what it was, it doesn't seem to have been drunk, because in Mark 14, after Jesus drinks this, what we might think was the 3rd cup, he says, "Truly I say to you, I will not drink again of the fruit of the vine until the day when I drink it, until that day when I drink it new in the kingdom of God." So Jesus points out, like, if that was the 3rd cup he just drank, and the cup that's supposed to end Passover, supposed to, like, be, like, symbolically, that's the cup where anyone under the blood is, like, saved and everything else is done away with, then Jesus would be saying, like, I'm not going to drink that final cup until I'm in the kingdom of God. So, which would be like he's out of our, either heaven has come to earth or he is in heaven.
So is that the same type of idea of the 3rd cup? Is that similar to the take this cup from me?
Yes, because where does Jesus go right after this?
The cross.
Yes, the cross, and right before that, the Garden of Gethsemane, right? He's in the garden, and there when he's praying, what his words are, which is a strange expression, always has been. Jesus says, if there's any way that this cup can pass from me, that'd be great.
Right.
Why does he call it a cup? Well, because the final cup is still ahead of him. It's on the other side of the cross, right? So Jesus is like, can we get that cup some other way? Can we end Passover in a much nicer, like that's the temptation that's on the table. And that's why Jesus calls it a cup. It's like Passover, if I may say this, Passover from the Jesus perspective hasn't ended yet. The holiday is still on the table. And every time you take communion, you're eating into a Passover that started 2,000 years ago and is still there for us to remember every day whenever we take communion.
So with communion, we're still on the third cup, and we still have to get to the fourth cup.
Yes. Now, there are two ways people do that fourth cup. Some, actually, I'm working off, we've talked about him before, but Brant Petrie, we've been working off his book, and Brant talks about, he thinks that this fourth cup was Jesus is hanging on the cross, and you remember how a soldier gives him sour wine to drink? But that happens in the Gospel of John.
Wait, I thought he drank vinegar.
It's like a wine of vinegar, and
Gotcha.
It's not good. It's horrible, horrible wine. So Brant would go like, there it is. There's the fourth cup. It happens on the cross. He's eating in the kingdom of God right there. I don't know that I would say that, simply because John's always on a different trajectory. That's why it's not a synoptic gospel, right? Mm-hmm. The other three are very tight in their story. John rewrites everything to try to tell it in a new light. But in this particular, so I don't think we need to look at John and be like he was trying to communicate the fourth cup right there. I think the fourth cup is more like the wedding ceremony in Revelation. Like, finally the end of Passover comes, and here we are celebrating with Jesus and in this new heaven and new earth. And that's where, because that's what he said, right? Like, I won't drink this again until we're in the kingdom of heaven. So anyways, that would be my assumption, is that like when the day comes where we are all in the new heavens and new earth and celebrating with God with this great feast of sorts that Revelation paints, this wedding ceremony, that is the fulfillment. Like, Passover is ended, the cup can be drank, Jesus is drinking it anew in the kingdom of God. And so, that should put communion in a different light for us when we're taking it, reminding us of like, this is still the end times. This is still the Passover. This is still not had its full completion, but one day it will. Thanks for joining us today. Now you can join us some more
On the Discord.
Also, be sure to like, comment, subscribe down below, and share us.
We'll chat with you there.